Hey guys, welcome to the You Don't Have to podcast, the podcast where we watch TV shows, movies, and read scripts so that you don't have to. Spoiler warning, this episode and many episodes to come will be talking about spoilers for TV shows, movies, and scripts that we've read. If you're not into spoilers, we won't be upset if you click away, but if you don't mind spoilers or you've seen the content, we hope that you'll stick around and listen to our podcast. Thank you so much for being here, and we hope you enjoy.
Start. All right. Now we're actually recording.
All right, cool.
It's actual podcast time.
Ooh, actual podcast time.
Woohoo!
Ooh.
And now we're going on to episode 2. Look at us, we committed to something.
We did it. There's a huge break between the two, but
the listeners wouldn't know that because we're gonna post them on a regular schedule.
well, way to break the immersion, but okay.
I'm sorry, do you want me to post them on a huge break too so we could just make it very well known?
I mean, God, there's a part of me that wants to say yes, but I guess not.
Knowing me, I'll probably forget, and then it will end up being 2 weeks, and then I'll just have to deal with that. Today's episode is actually episodes 2 through 6 of Riverdale. And a lot. It kind of, I will say, well, one thing that a little bit, like, I guess, sucks about doing it non-episodically is that so much happens in, one or two episodes. You're like, wow, how did we get here so quickly? But that's okay. We'll discuss it, and that's the good part.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess we'll just jump right in on episode 2. Just yeet ourselves back in time to, I think at the end of episode 1, they found Jason's body. Yeah. And I believe that was it, right? They didn't take anybody yet. They just found his body.
Not yet, no.
Okay.
But there was like a teaser. The big teaser at the end of the first episode was that by Tuesday, because they would go through all of Monday, and then like Tuesday morning would be the first arrest in the Jason Blossom case. Okay. And so it was all kind of like, whoa, who's it gonna be?
All right. Okay. All right. So yeah, episode 2 started with that arrest, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And that
episode 2 started with kind of like the police investigation. So what's happening, like, first is like Archie's like talking to Miss Grundy about like, because they know some information that like the cops don't know, that there was a gunshot being fired, and her at Sweetwater, and it's also the big aftermath with the whole kiss. So Betty's like trying to patch up their relationship.
Her mom's like, you better not see him.
God, I forgot how absolutely horrible.
Her mom's just so wishy-washy in the first season. Like, I feel like her mom gets progressively more crazy as the seasons go on, but like in the first season, she's so wishy-washy.
She's just such a helicopter parent. Like to the agreement, like not just like a regular helicopter. We're talking like an Apache attack helicopter.
I don't know what that means.
An Apache attack helicopter has guns and missiles. It's a truly devastating killing machine, Rocky.
No. What's a helicopter parent?
Oh, it's basically just like a parent that is constantly hovering over their child's life.
Oh, like a helicopter.
Like a helicopter.
See,
Sorry,
I was thinking
I didn't realize
specifically the propellers, and I'm like, yeah, she is going round and round and round, just going crazy. I didn't. Yeah. I'm so silly. All right, cool. Yeah, no, I see that. Cause yeah, she definitely goes into this being like the second episode already on some batshit crazy stuff. She's like, I know for a fact that she was like, oh, you learned your lesson. Now we're never gonna talk to that evil Veronica and that evil Archie. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay then. Yeah, so well, I will say the main, like, I guess out of all of that, the main point that I can think of was Archie was struggling to decide if he was going to tell Sheriff Keller about the gunshot and attempting to convince Miss Grundy to do the same.
Yeah.
And she
was like, no.
Basically was like, fuck no.
Obvious, yeah, like for very obvious reasons, obviously. Like doesn't want to get arrested.
Doesn't want to get arrested or fired or have to leave her position. Yeah.
Wonderful stuff.
What? I'm trying to remember, because I am trying to remember going back to episode 2 specifically.
Well, there's some highlights it's not a big point, but there's like the follow-up kind of with Kevin, where he's just kind of like, I wish, said some classic early season Kevin stuff.
Kevin just being Kevin.
Just King Kevin. He was like, man, I wish Moose was like one of the guys I should have just stayed in the closet.
Oh, right, because Kevin was having an existential gay crisis.
Something like that, yeah.
Because,
well, to be fair, he just saw a dead body.
He did. But he was also like, I feel like it kind of sucks is that, like, it's really funny because, like, yes, Moose was in the closet, but, like, Moose, like, clearly was interested in Kevin, and Kevin's like, you're interested in me? I don't like you.
I don't like you. I know. It's a little scummy. I mean,
it really is.
We also got our first Midge name drop where it's like, besides, he's going steady with Midge, which continues to confuse what fucking era we're in.
Right. We gotta love the Archie comics.
Yeah.
But yeah, they do bring up Midge. They have, episode.
This is the big one. Like, this one is like the investigation is now being treated as a murder rather than like an accident, and also that there's going to be this big old pep rally.
I will say, yeah, the pep rally, and then also, I was gonna say, in regards to them treating it like a homicide, isn't this around the time that we kind of start seeing Alice be a little bit more like conniving? Because she goes to the coroner and she gives him cash, and that's like your kind of first glimpse is like Alice Cooper. For those of you guys who don't know, Alice Cooper is Betty's mom. Alice
also
Cooper,
a heavy metal artist.
Yes, but we're talking about Betty's mom.
Okay, good. Because I don't think Alice Cooper the musician ever did anything this horrible.
Could you imagine if they had tried to play Alice Cooper the mom as like the Alice Cooper the musician?
I feel like that would have been better.
Probably.
Anyways,
I was gonna say, so we got to kind of like see that she'll like do anything for the story, which is kind of giving you more insight of her character, that she is that character that kind of doesn't give a fuck about anybody except for herself
and her vendettas and stuff.
Right. And then I think, the major ones we've got, the pep rally. And that, I think that also plays in, well, that plays into the end of the episode, because now I'm kind of remembering that the arrest was actually made at the end of the episode, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was at the very end.
That's what leads into episode 3, which is where it begins, is that end for conversation. So, yeah, we get to see the pep rally, in which Cheryl is honestly acting, I feel like, the most normal that she's acted or will act throughout the entire rest of the series.
Yeah, and even then, she's still pretty horrible. Like, this is the same episode where Cheryl tries to goes and tries to strike up tries to be friendly with Betty and stuff, but it's all just because she wants to try and get blame. Basically, the whole idea was just to blame Polly for Jason's death. Right,
because the night before that pep rally, she goes to spend time with Betty, who is pissed at Veronica.
Because it's she's mad. She's mad for Veronica for kissing Archie, and oh god, this is so high school.
Well, they are in high school.
Veronica, I know, but still, it's just Veronica, yeah, kissed Archie, and so Betty was mad, and so to kind of get back a little bit, to Veronica, they decide to Cheryl. No, wait, yeah,
yeah.
Veronica gave Betty
mani
petties and stuff,
blowouts, yes,
and blowouts or whatever, and then to kind of as a screw you, invites Cheryl instead because they're gonna try and strike up that friendship, and then Cheryl uses this opportunity to basically berate Betty into being like, your sister is the reason my brother's dead, and we get our first nice little glimpse of Dark Betty.
Right, we get
where
that.
She basically goes, you say anything like that to me, and I will kill you.
Right.
Yeah,
and that's also
great.
Just to tie back into the first episode, because it's actually, I don't think that's something that we mentioned in the first episode when we were too busy talking about lesbian kissing.
Yeah, I got another little fun thing about that later.
Oh, great. we did indeed miss that very, very first subtle glimpse of Dark Betty, because when Cheryl first brings up that Betty didn't make the team or whatever, that's when Veronica sees her ball up her fist, and when she loosens them, you can see that there's scars. It's not just that she did it once. It was multiple.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then so Cheryl comes over to her house. She accuses Polly, and that's I will actually say, out of all of the angles that Riverdale has ever taken, I love Dark Betty.
Yeah.
Dark Betty was the best angle. What I didn't like is that after season 2, they just kind of gave up on it. They're like, no, she's not dark anymore.
No, they just turned into the serial killer gene.
Right. And it's even worse though, because it was instead of her having even serial killer tendencies or whatever to try to tie in that, they basically just threw it out the window. They were like, oh, now she's just nervous that she may have it. And it's okay, when's she gonna drown a guy in a hot tub?
Exactly. Well, that comes next episode.
Yes.
Anyways, let's see. So yeah, there's all that, and then of course around the end they do the pep rally. Cheryl has another little breakdown where she sees I think
she sees Archie.
Archie in the number in Jason's jersey, thinks it's Jason.
She had a whole mental breakdown. Like I said, I think this is the only time in the entire series we've seen Cheryl acting even somewhat normal. Because I will even say, Cheryl, who didn't know Polly that well, who didn't know the story between Jason and Polly or whatever potentially happened to them, she probably could have been my parents didn't like Polly and Jason tried to run away with her. So it is the next logical step to potentially accuse Polly. So I actually don't think that Cheryl was that far off in this episode. And she was angry for good reason. She was anxious for good reason. She was sad in mourning. And then obviously, I don't know for certain if this is a thing that the high schools just don't care. Because the only kids that died in my high school were not football stars. But I feel they wouldn't just give the number to a new kid. I don't know why I feel this way, but I feel that this isn't something that would happen in a regular, at least American high school. I feel not in any high school. And they gave Archie Jason's whole number. They were just yeah.
It's yours now. To be fair, they'll later resolve this.
They will. Obviously, they will. They do. But in a different way. It's not the school decided this. It was Archie decided it. But they did give Archie that number, and he runs out onto the field after, I will say, a kick-ass pep rally performance.
There was a lot of twerking.
There was, but it was still a good performance. Actually, I'm not even gonna lie. The twerking and the being sexy and shit, very on point for American school system cheerleaders.
Oh, it is? Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
It's not, maybe I just don't have a good point of reference because either I didn't care at all about my high school life, that I never I don't even think we even had pep rallies at my school. That might be an American thing. My high school, we didn't give a shit. They had like they had to make volunteering for like doing like scorekeeping and stuff like a mandatory part of gym class because nobody gave a shit about
Really?
what people would not volunteer for shit unless like you had to do it to pass.
I love that. So, my high school was actually one of. It's not necessarily like one of those high schools where it's like I live in a small town and we go to the football game every Friday night. My town's not small, but we did go to the football game every Friday night.
People are crazy.
And well, this is the thing. No, this is the funny part though. It was a social event. I never once knew the score. I went to probably, let's see, they had a football game almost every Friday throughout the season because they also had away games, right? So
Yeah.
they had a football game like maybe like what, say the season's like 3 months long. So that's you know 12 Fridays. Say even half of them, okay?
That's like 8 to 12, yeah.
Right. So like assume at least 6 football games a year that I was in high school. So that's 4 years, right? I'm looking at a lot of football games. I never once knew the score.
Yeah, fair enough.
Because it was very much a social gathering. You got in for free with your student ID. So we would go, we'd sit on the bleachers, we would talk, we would hang out, we would like just be dumb, and then whenever the rest of the crowd would cheer, we would cheer. We go, woo! But
Yeah.
I will say, like, aside from going to actually see the football game and seeing the cheerleaders at the football game, my school was very big on pep rallies. Mostly for homecoming. We had a homecoming pep rally, and then our cheerleaders were actually like state qualifying and shit. So like we were on the news a lot. So like they wanted to like fill the stands one morning, and they were like, "Well, the news isn't going to film us. They're going to film us for like, the 7:00 news. So we actually have to do this segment at like 5:30 or something." So they were like, "We want to fill the seats. So like, if you guys come sit here, you guys will like, you guys will get like free drink or free hot cocoa or something if you guys come around." And we're like, "Okay." So me and my friends got up at 5:00 in the morning and walked across the street.
Oh God.
It was actually really fun, and our cheerleaders were really, really good. So I will say I will say it was probably a little over sexualized, but that's just because it's television.
Yeah, it's television. I was gonna say I mean, again, maybe it was just our high school, but yeah, we didn't have pep rallies, we didn't have cheerleaders, we didn't have any of that stuff.
I feel like you just went to a really sad school.
I don't know. We didn't do it in the high school I went to in Saskatchewan either, so
I didn't know that you were in Saskatchewan. Why did I have this idea that you were in BC the entire time?
well, not the entire time. I was in Saskatchewan for a while, so there's 2 parts of Canada that I went to that didn't have any of those stuff. Now, the Saskatchewan is more understandable. No one wants to go outside. Going outside means you die.
I always assumed
because it's -40. Because it's -40 for like the majority of the school year. I think there was like the football season was like at the end of the year because otherwise you'd be freezing. You just couldn't. There was like maybe a month or 2 in September if you were lucky.
If you were lucky.
And then it'd be snow from October to, and you can talk to Carl. Like I think it's still snowing there.
Well, Carl's in Alberta.
He's in Alberta. That's right next to Saskatchewan, Aki.
Well, yeah, I know it's right next to it, but your provinces are fucking huge. Okay, your provinces are like the size of Texas.
Okay,
width-wise, like
all right, well,
there's an aggressive difference between Alberta and Edmonton and wherever the fuck you were in Saskatchewan.
Actually, no, there isn't. There's this one little anomaly called the Lower Mainland BC, and then every other part of Canada is the exact same.
No, because there's that one part of Canada where it's like, oh no, that's Alaska. Well, technically
Unless you-
Canada. I'm going to
unless
call
you want-
Alaska Canada
Look,
also, even
fair
though it's
enough.
technically a state.
Yeah.
But Alaska's like nighttime for like 40 fucking hour 40 fucking days. It's just straight up night, and
Yeah.
then it gets sunny for like 2 weeks.
Okay, so you're talking about like the very north, like yeah. Okay, so if you're talking about like Nunavut, Northwest Territories, Yukon, yeah, there's parts of there that are like that have that and they're extra cold. But I'm
Okay.
talking about like
the straight across big
yeah.
big
if
part
we're talking
of
about the
Canadian.
provinces and the islands, not the territories, because yes, we have 3 different ways of calling our what you would call a state. We have 3 different names for them.
Yeah, I always
Anyways, I feel we're getting
Football.
dramatically. Anyways, football pep rally.
Yeah, I will
Sorry
say the
about
pep
that.
rally. I will say, as like I said, the plus side. This is before Riverdale jumped to musical episodes.
Mhm.
I will stand by this. I
Mhm.
liked the musical snippets that we got in Riverdale. I did like, the Josie and the Pussycats. I liked the little snippets of Veronica singing or Cheryl even singing. I did like those. And even Archie's stupid High School Musical level back and forth with himself, he sings okay. So like I kind of liked all those little snippets. It was a full-length episodes where it was like, why did you try to tie in a whole musical into an episode that got me fucked up?
Mhm.
But I will say, like, the pep rally was very, very good, and I liked it a lot. It was a little over-sexualized for television, but, like, for the most part, it really was just basically what a cheerleading group does. Which I also kind of rings a lot for, like, American entertainment, period. Because if it's pretty normal for them to look like that, because I've seen it in high school girls, kind of makes you wonder why my country is sexualizing high school girls like that. I think it's kind of funny, but also really fucked up.
Yeah.
But that's a can of worms that I refuse to open right now.
There you go.
But yeah, no, and then obviously Cheryl sees her brother, in the form of Archie, who is another redhead. Like the only other redhead in the school.
Yeah.
and he runs out and she sees Jason and she has a panic attack and sprints off the field in such a way that it makes it look like she's just running into the forest to live out her life as a nomad.
Mhm. And then ends up in the locker room.
And then ends up in the locker room. Which makes no sense. Like, why
And,
was your locker room so far away from the football
Nah,
field?
you just have to cross the forest to get to the locker room. I don't know, man.
Yes.
And then, yeah, they go into the locker room, and then we get this nice little moment between her and Veronica, and then we get another little clue about how Jason was supposed to come back, and like it's like
Right.
what, and then
Right, because she said
by the end, and then like at the end of it, everyone's kind of back to being friends. Jughead figured out that Archie and Grundy were in a relationship because he saw them holding hands.
he saw them, or he saw, was it them holding hands?
It was just holding hands. To be fair, they were also like doing like I think they were doing like the forehead thing as well, where they were like,
Right,
it was
because,
very obvious that there was something there.
right, because Archie was
They were talking about the
gun, but
music.
also the music. He was
Music.
saying like, you
Yeah.
need to give me lessons, and
Teach me music, baby.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and then yeah, we ended off episode 2 with quite a quote cliffhanger in which the arrest that they made was Cheryl herself.
Mm-hmm. Because she's guilty, and then people were like, "Oh my god, she killed her brother, of course," because she's like insane. And then it's like, and the very first thing in the next episode after the Jughead opening is like, just to be clarified, I'm guilty of what I'm saying I'm guilty of is in murdering my brother. It's like, okay, maybe fucking lead on with that.
I love
I
love Cheryl's dramatics. I think that like I do like I hate them in the sense that like her character is only dramatic, so it's like she loses all of her like her like integrity kind of like as a character. You're just kind of like, okay, you're just gonna be dramatic even though you're supposed to be mourning. Like you're upset that your brother is dead. He was supposed to come back. And then the first thing that you say when the cops arrest you is, "You're here for me, right? Because I'm guilty." And it's like, what? Ma'am, what?
Yeah, I know. But yeah, anyways, so we learned that she helped Jason try to escape their parents by having him like a fake drowning.
And she did a good job. She said they made it across the river and that she gave him a hug goodbye.
Yeah. But then there was the gunshot, and now it's even more urgent that that maybe Archie and them talk. But we also have but we could forget about all of that because who really gives a shit about like the murder at this point? Because we get to deal with the slut shaming in this episode.
Oh yeah, slut shaming episode.
The freaking
sticky
like
maple.
A sticky maple, yeah.
Oh yes, let's okay. We have to dive so deep into the slut shaming because it's very important. Because I also think that it's very important kind of to the plot. And once again, Cheryl's bad writing for her character. Because we get to the slut shaming episode. Veronica goes on a date with our boy Chad.
No, it's Chuck.
Chuck.
I know
Chuck
this
is
because
a Chad.
well, in this he's been CW-fied. Because the Chuck in the actual comics is actually a very artistic guy. Like he draws comics. I think, like he's an artist.
Oh,
so they really just took poor old Chuck and just turned him into like a
they just
big
ran
old
with
asshole.
him. They just ran with him. Like, and now you're here.
And to be fair, they do that with a lot of characters.
They do. I will say, just like a side note, just because I do love Jughead, I'm happy that they kept Jughead's like crown in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, no, I think the beanie was a good idea.
The beanie was a great idea, and it modernized him without taking away from the crown. I own that beanie. I also, podcast people don't know, but Chris knows that I handmade a River Vixens cosplay and did wear it when I met Cole Sprouse. So hell yeah. But I do like that beanie. I think that was a really good character piece that they brought back to him. And they also
and just to reiterate, when I say like, forget about the plot, it's time for the slut shame. Like as somebody who has never been slut shamed, thankfully I've never had to deal with this. I don't know if you've had to. Yes. I feel like they did a good, I don't know, like how well did they do? As someone who's never had, even in high school, I never knew anybody that this happened to. Again, apparently I went to the most boring high school.
You really did.
I choose to believe I went to a pretty boring one.
Good. Well, for starters, in my high school, every single high school around my area has some form of nickname for some form of thing. Yep. And my high school, which actually I don't really mind divulging, I went to Lake Park High School. And Lake Park, in the years that I went, was known as the school of STDs.
Ooh, fun.
Because a few years before I attended, they had a syphilis breakout.
Oh my god.
Gonorrhea? It was one of those two. It was either syphilis or gonorrhea. Jeez. They had a little high school pandemic. And that's really funny to me. But obviously that was not my class. Okay, that was a different class of a lot of students sleeping together. But we garnered a reputation. So I do recall in general, I joined my freshman year in tennis. Me and the girls were waiting for our turns on the court. We had an away game at a different high school. We saw a bunch of track boys, and we're like, oh, hell yeah, track boys. Because track boys, for some reason, are allowed to run without shirts on. Like, school rules didn't apply outside of the building, and you were just allowed to take it off when you ran extracurriculars, I guess.
Well, of course, you got to cut down on that wind resistance.
I fucking guess so. But there was a bunch of track boys. They were cute. And we were like, so walked over and we're like, kind of flirting with them. They're hard flirting with us. And then they're like, so what school are you girls from? And we're like, oh, we're from Lake Park. And their faces immediately dropped. Like, they literally went from, like, flirty with us to, like, disgusted. And they were like, oh, no, never mind. And we're like, what? What do you mean, never mind? And they're like, listen, we don't want STDs from you. And I was like, what makes you think we'd have sex with you?
Wow, that's a pretty big leap, and also fucking rude.
I was fucking 14, y'all. I was a freshman in high school, a 14-year-old girl.
Were they also like around that age?
I believe so. They're probably like freshmen or maybe sophomores. They definitely weren't like the varsity team or anything.
Okay, fair enough. Okay,
but
well,
yeah.
Okay, so probably just, you know, good old-fashioned dumb 15-year-old boys.
Right.
Ain't got no filter, ain't got no sense of self-awareness.
Yeah, and then I will say, I was never, like, slut-shamed in the sense that, like, Veronica was, I guess. But
no, that's good.
In my junior year, I hung out with a boy that I had I don't know how to even explain it. It wasn't a relationship. I never like dated him or anything. We were friends, and he had a huge crush on me. And I hung out with him like over like long weekend, holiday weekend or something like that. And he and I went into the girls' bathroom at the Park District because the girls' bathroom in the Park District was heated. And it was fucking cold outside. And I was like, if y'all want to hang out with me, you can hang out with me in here because I'm staying warm. and so I hung out with two guys in a woman's bathroom. And that's where the story starts. I had made a comment as a joke to one of his friends who was like bragging about selling like energy drinks or something.
Okay.
And I had made a comment about like, oh yeah, I make loads of money. And he's like, well, what do you make loads of money doing? And I was like, oh, you know, LOL, I'm a phone sex operator. And this was a joke. We all laughed about it. The following Monday, I was talked to by 4 different girls about how I had sex with 2 guys in a bathroom at a Park District. And I was like, real weird that I had sex with 2 guys in a bathroom at a Park District. I don't remember that happening. I'm a virgin. And then it followed immediately by getting 3 guys to come up to me and ask me for the business contact phone number for my sex operation business because they wanted to get some action. So I did have a little rumor go around about me being a whore, despite literally doing nothing. And that's kind of like, that is what happened to Veronica. She went on a date with Chuck. She was pretty excited. She thought it was really cute. I think they made out.
Yeah, I think they kissed. Yeah, they kissed a little bit.
They kissed out. They made out a little bit. She enjoyed herself, but nothing ever like came of it. And then the next thing you know, there's an Instagram post going around. And side note, that Instagram post is so old because Instagram on those phones looked so old. I was like, damn it, did not realize how old Instagram looks.
Yeah, I know.
But a picture going around on Instagram saying that she received a sticky maple, which is a Riverdale equivalent to a facial. And no, I will not delve into what a facial is. You can Google it.
I know what that is.
I know that you know what that is. I'm talking about the babies listening to our podcast.
Right. Well, don't. I'm gonna tell them to not look
at you,
it up.
Babies.
Yeah, no. Right.
But yeah, so she got hella slut shamed. And I will say, like, yeah, you're right. Like, it is probably very accurate to what can and what has happened.
Does happen. Okay.
And in the same sense, I will say the only difference is that they charged right into the men's locker room to tell him to take it down. That would not be allowed in our school system. There's usually like a person, like a gym teacher, like directly in front of the locker room door to make sure that kids are not going in the wrong locker rooms.
Okay.
But yeah, they went in, they told him to take it down. He didn't, and this is I love this episode.
It's a good episode
because the next thing you know is we get the glimpse of Cheryl being very rude to the team, the group, about how, you know, there was, actually, Betty, I'll bring this up first. Betty finds other girls who Chuck and other men on the football team have done.
Or said they'd done.
And they were keeping tally points. They were keeping a point redemption in some sort of playbook, right? I will say, is this only for the varsity team, or is this for like all the football team? Because I don't think they ever really said anything about it. And
I don't think they did. Or if it was even like in another group or not. I'm gonna say it was probably just like maybe an in general football team thing.
See, because that's what makes me wonder, because they are sophomores, right? They said that?
Yeah. And then like Archie would have
is a football player. Yes.
Did he play football before? Because again, first episode, he apparently went through some sort of transformation during the summer. So I don't know if he was like exactly if he was just really scrawny or if he was like bigger or what's going on, but did he play football?
I want to say that he did, because that was like the drawing force with his dad, was that he worked with his dad and played football like his dad did.
Yeah.
So it was like, I feel like his freshman year he did play football, like, because what else would he have done his freshman year?
All right, then maybe it is a varsity thing.
So I'm gonna go and assume it's varsity then,
because Archie had well, first of all, he's not even a part of this.
He really wasn't.
He's not a part of this storyline.
Was Archie even in this episode?
No, he is. He's just doing more about like kind of going. He's this whole episode. He's basically like, I have to tell Principal Weatherby and Sheriff Keller about the gunshot.
Right.
And he does. By the way, like he does, and that's like it's kind of saves Cheryl's like behind, and as like a thanks,
right,
she gives her like, you can go hang out with the Pussycats for like 10 minutes because music or whatever. And that's what we get to learn more about them. Well,
right, because this was them. They were prepping for
the something to do with like
some town mayor thing.
Yeah.
Some town meeting or something. They were prepping for a performance for that. And she was like, you can sit in, you can sit with them. And then he actually helped them. He got grounded for lying to his dad.
And it went anyways.
And then he snuck out, and that's when he saw Jughead out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Jughead this whole time is going after Dilton Doily, who went from being kind of like this sort of nerdy character in the comics to apparently like a doomsday prepper. Really doomsday prepper / Boy Scout. Very interesting combination.
I will say Dilton Doily got CW'd also in the fact that like he's still a nerd and he's kind of crazy.
Yeah. But
they still made him cute.
He's like cute. Like he's not like, oh my god, look how hot he is. But like it's not like
Dilton, I'd date him.
Like Dilton Doily, I think from the comics, like he was like this shorter, definitely like super like buck tooth glasses kind of
freckles, right? Didn't he
freckles
have freckles?
Nerd guy. There was like there was like a thing like, oh, maybe him and Ethel would like hook up because they were like the two kind of
Nerdy ones.
nerdy-ish, kind of not as traditionally good-looking characters, and so like I guess you ship the two quote unquote ugly characters together or something, but it's fine. They're gonna die anyways.
Okay. Anyway.
So yeah, like which is anyway. So like he's doing
Jughead's doing recon on Dilton because Jughead joins the Blue and Gold because Betty's mom was like, well, if you're gonna research shit, you should come join the paper that me and your dad work at. And Betty, being smart, was like, no. Betty was like, because you're not actually researching the story, you're just putting out, you're putting out everything that you hear and you're not actually researching. And so Betty brings up the Blue and Gold. She brings Juggy in.
She ropes Kevin in.
And she's got herself basically the dream team.
Mm-hmm.
And so Jughead's out searching for Dilton Doily. Jughead goes through a fucking wild ride on this because he goes to Dilton Doily and Dilton's like, no, we're just out. I told you everything I know. And then he like, Wilt's talking to Dilton. He like sees one of Dilton's weird cadets. Because he's not actually a Boy Scout. He's like a fucking military leader. He sees one of his cadets at the end looking shaky. And then he corners him at Pops. And he's like, what's the vibe?
It's like, dude, the guy is fucking insane.
Right. The dude's like, hey man, I just wanted to get like some Boy Scout badges, learn how to tie a rope. Dilton's like, hey man, you got to learn how to cut open a bear and live inside it. And like, so he tells...
We got freaking like learning to arm the New World Order kind of shit.
Right. So he's losing his shit. He just tells Jughead that Dilton had a gun. And Dilton's like... But that's how we go. We'll get back into Dark Betty, but just to end that plot line and what kind of ends things. And also what kind of leads Betty off the fucking rails because she was obsessed with Archie. Is that at the end of that episode he tells Betty and Jughead that not only did he see Jason in the river or whatever, and he, obviously the gunshot, but he saw Miss Grundy's car.
And that he was probably there with someone else. Right.
And then Jughead, who had already kind of connected the dots, said, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
and that's where the episode leaves off. But I want to go back into slut shaming.
We're gonna go back. Yeah,
we have to go back to slut shaming.
So Cheryl's being like horrible to all these people who are trying to come out for the gold, the blue and gold bear, and then they find the book. And Jason's name is in it as well.
Next
he has
to
points.
Polly.
Next to Polly.
He brings up that Polly gets the shy girl bonus.
Yeah.
And he gets like some 10 fucking points for that shit. And this is why I think I was so mad in a couple episodes later, probably around 5 or 6 that we were looking at, where Cheryl like becomes a cunt again about Polly, because in this episode we see that glimpse of humanity.
Yeah, and it's gone.
Yeah, it was gone. It was like as soon as it started. But in this episode we did see that glimpse of humanity where Cheryl was like, oh, right.
My brother's not perfect.
My brother was horrible to her. I believe she even apologized to Betty because she was like, I did not know that my brother was capable of those things, but he is. And
then we get to the best part of the episode.
The best part of the episode with such a good song that I never know the lyrics to. Like, have you ever tried to sing that song?
No.
Do you want to try to sing that song?
I mean, I will when I book up the song.
Okay. I genuinely I don't know like the lyrics of the I know like the actual words, but what is that little like song interlude part? And I heard that song the other day. My sister was talking about how much she loves that song, and I was like, ah, yes, this is the Dark Betty song. Not to be confused with Dark Alice Cooper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, I don't know what the L was for, but my imagination was just that you actually heard that little part that I was talking about that's not actually words, and you're like, huh. Like, you're right, I can't sing this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a very strange song, but I love that song. But what we get is Betty, leading up to the fun song, we do get Betty and Veronica. Betty basically going off the rails in the sense that she learned about Polly, and she's pissed at Jason, and she's pissed at the football team.
Mm-hmm.
But
she's also pissed at Chuck.
She's pissed at Chuck for doing this to her friend and
being a part of this.
And so she decides, we're gonna get revenge. We're not gonna go to Weatherby. We're not gonna go to Keller. We're gonna do what we're gonna do. And so she goes to Pop. She flirts her way up with Chuck. She tells him that Ethel is going to be out of town with her parents and that she is a hot tub. She lures Chuck basically into his doom almost. And they get in, they start their flirtation. And that's when I think Veronica starts noticing that, like, maybe Betty is a little
crazy.
Fucked, yeah. Because she sees Betty start slipping drugs in his drink.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the drug part was like
the second.
Yeah, that might have been kind of the plan.
No, it wasn't. I think she definitely asked her. She definitely asked because
okay.
Because they were planning on getting him drunk, right? They were going to plan on getting him drunk, and
right.
The first thing that happened is that Betty steps out, and she's wearing
the wig,
the black bob cut wig, the sexy lacy bra and panty combo, and the first thing that this crazy bitch says, and I love Betty to death, but crazy, is Betty couldn't make it, so she sent me instead. And I'm like, okay, something's wrong.
Yeah, I will say, don't get me wrong, glad it worked out the way it is. Man, Chuck was just, he got what he deserved, but man, yeah, there were so many red flags that
he should have picked up on.
He should have picked up on it, but I guess he was too horny. I don't know. I personally would have turned around if I was a guy like Chuck, which I'm not. At least I don't think I am.
You're probably a guy like the regular Chuck, not
like
the CW Chuck.
Like the regular. The second I open up that door and see that Veronica's there, I go, nope, this is a fucking setup. Why would the girl that I just slut shamed is apparently okay with it now? No, that's bullshit.
You're smarter than Chuck.
Yeah, I think a lot of
you're not a Chuck.
Anyways,
I think that, like, yes, there. Can we just go through a quick list of red flags? Veronica was there. Yeah. Betty asked him out on a date. I think that probably is like the first red flag.
That's the first one, yeah.
Betty
like, way at the beginning.
Betty comes up to you and is like, "Oh, I wanna do that." No, it's a red flag. Veronica being there, red flag. Betty coming out with a black wig on, telling you that she's not her. That is like, I would have been like, all right, this seems a little serial killery.
That's I don't even like politely back out. I just turn around and fucking run.
Be like, okay, bye. Peace,
I will run
crazy.
home. I will run home in my freaking boxer shorts because I can't remember if he took all of his clothes off yet or not.
Don't remember either. Yeah, and then
doesn't matter.
There's just that's 3 red flags right off the bat.
That's hard. Yeah.
Or the fact that I will say the fact that they said that Ethel had given them the house. He knows that Ethel's in that book too. And Ethel's a quiet and reserved girl. Why would she offer up her house to Chuck to do sex stuff? Like,
Exactly.
there's so many red flags, Chuck. What? But yeah, no, I will say the drugs were not planned. The alcohol was. So they were planning on getting him drunk and then convincing him to tell the whole, the internet that, like,
yeah,
he did not have sex with Veronica.
Yeah.
That he did not give her a sticky maple. Mm-hmm. But Betty went off the rails and started slipping drugs in there. Veronica asked, and she's like, it's just to kind of loosen him up. And Veronica's like, okay.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It's like, okay. A little weird thing. He gets freaking, like, knocked out pretty much.
Right.
Then they handcuff him into the hot tub. And then
she's trying to boil the man alive.
I'm not sure if you could do that with a hot tub, if I'm being completely honest.
If I'm being honest, I feel like, I guess if you sat in it long enough.
Yeah, it depends. Like, I don't. It's been a while since I've been in like a hot tub, so I could be wrong. I feel like there's a limit to how high you can make it go. And don't get me wrong, they cranked it up. I think
they did.
It can be definitely very uncomfortable.
She did say how high that specific hot tub could go.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been in like a private hot tub. Like I've been in one in like, pools and hotels and shit. But I haven't been in a private hot tub since I was like 12.
So maybe it's different.
So maybe privatized ones obviously I do know they have their own dials, right? Like you get to decide how hot you want it. I do think that they probably have settings that would, be like maybe not boil somebody alive worthy.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a mix of the alcohol causing your temperature to rise, because alcohol can do that. The hot tub having some TV magic setting. Yeah, their plan was to boil him alive, I guess.
Until he confessed that it was all ruse. Until freaking Betty just starts to like step on his head, and then she just straight up just tries to drown him.
She did try to drown him, and not only that, but she had a whole psychotic break. She called herself Polly. She called him Jason. There was like a lot.
There's a lot going on there. And then poor old Veronica is just sitting there in her like freaking underwear, taping this, kind of going, "What the fuck did I get myself into?"
Veronica's like, "Remind me not to piss off Betty Cooper, because that's murder."
Yeah, like just stop being like sort of like a revenge. And more of like, yeah, we might have to hide the body after this. And then you got and then icing on the tape once we're all done with this. Ethel just kind of like was watching the whole time.
It's laughing.
She fucking loved it. Little psycho.
I love Ethel.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that Veronica's probably watching that being like, bro, my dad went to embezzlement, not murder. Went to jail for embezzlement.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of crimes you think I'm associated with at this point in time.
Right, because he definitely has murder on his plate later, but not right now.
Not right now. Right now it's just embezzlement.
Just embezzlement. But yeah, no. So this does happen, and they get him to confess. They get him to back off.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of it, he leaves. Yeah, he gets kicked off the team. And his dad was the coach, so his dad also.
No, his dad's still the coach.
Okay.
It was like the whole thing was that like one of the things was like they're not gonna. Chuck was like the captain of the football team. His dad was the head coach of the varsity team. Everybody loved him, and like it's a really shitty position. This actually happened. I don't know if I ever told you this.
We're getting Chris T. Let's go.
Yeah. Something similar happened to someone in my school, actually.
Oh my God, your school's not boring.
No, not completely boring. There was an incident, and I won't leave any. I'll keep all names out of it. In a gym class where a student called another student, a German exchange student, a Nazi.
No.
And nothing really happened about it. Like the girl, and it was a boy calling this to a girl. the German exchange student was female.
Mhm.
I'm trying. It's happened so long ago, so I'm trying to remember. But yeah, I think that like gym class basically stopped. I believe the gym teacher heard it, and he acted on it. Like he's like get out of here. It was reported, but because this guy he was he was big in like sports. Like he was gonna be drafted to like a
College
minors
or
team or something. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
nothing was actually done about it.
Oh,
I
that's. Oh God, that reminds me of what's his fucking dick who raped a
Yeah.
girl. There was that guy that he was so big. In the news a few years ago, where he literally raped a girl behind the dumpster after
Mhm.
she had been roofied or something. He raped her, and at the very bottom of like the news articles.
Mhm.
These are the news articles about him. They're like, he raped this girl. And then at the very bottom of the news article was like, here are his swim stats. And I'm like, why the fuck are his swim stats relevant? He raped a
Yeah,
girl.
I know. I think it's like
Right.
from the school's perspective, it's like, well, if this guy makes it big, we can say that like oh, this guy, yeah,
He
he
was
was a
my
alum from
student.
our high school. Or
Yeah.
like, yeah, we taught him or whatever. It's good for the school, I guess, especially if you're like a public school or whatever, because it's like
Right. But then I
um
always think about the other side where it's like you're also going to be known as the school that housed the guy that called the exchange student a Nazi.
yeah.
You're also
If
like you're the school of a guy who raped a girl behind a dumpster. Like, how are you still promoting this?
I think it's more about focusing on the positive or whatever. If it
Right.
makes you feel any better, I haven't I don't think anything really happened. Like I don't think he made it.
I don't think he made
My
it.
guy, I don't think he ever. And if either he didn't make it or I just stopped caring. Like for all I know, he's like the head of like whatever sports he was doing, and he's like the poster boy, and I've just completely forgotten what he looked like or his name, which I'm fine with.
Then we're all fine with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say, I can't remember the guy's name who was on the news or the news articles or whatever. He was pretty big. He did get like jail time, but not a lot. I think he only got like 6 months or something like that because they wanted to get him back into swimming so that he could still have a bright future and learn from his mistake. And I remember people being, whoo, not happy. But yeah, no, aside from that, they got Chuck kicked off the team, and it was a really hard decision that his dad was forced to make because he was, his son.
His son, and also he was the head of the football team. But that's the thing is the difference is they did it.
They did it.
Granted, they had to do a lot in order to make it happen.
Well, also,
you could think of,
you would have to think about the fact that either the coach didn't know about this, or that
he probably,
was turning.
I'll be honest, he probably didn't.
Right. I was gonna say he either didn't know about it, or he was turning a blind eye to it. So there was like a lot that had to lead up to him being like, "Well, I guess I'm kicking my son off the team," right?
Yeah.
But yeah, and then you have the typical haha Cheryl moment where she's like, # justice for Ethel.
I hate that line. I was like, go jump off a cliff.
I really don't like the hashtags.
I don't like anytime someone says hashtag something.
I'm okay. Like I get it.
That's done not ironically.
I kind of get it in some contexts. I guess non-ironically.
Like if you're being like hashtag LOL or whatever, it's like you're making like a joke. But she was like,
no, she literally she speaks in hashtags, and it's very, very circa 2017, I guess. But oof. Yeah, and I kind of I think what kind of sucks is it broke tension that wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
Like the scene that you're seeing in that episode is you see all the girls standing basically blocking the entire hallway, as they lead Chuck out the front doors instead of leading him to the school or whatever. They start leading him out the front doors. You see Principal Weatherby and everything. You see all these girls, and Veronica like says, great job, Ethel. Like you really, we did this, right?
You did this, because she was like the first one that kind of
that spoke up, and she also well, not only that, but she said, I think she said in that episode that she had spoke. Is it spoken? Doesn't sound right.
Yeah, it's right.
She did speak to she said that she spoke to somebody, and that nothing happened, that they didn't care. And I think that's why they were like, well, we're going to make them care.
Yeah.
And so, it like saying hashtag justice for Ethel just kind of like I said, it ruined tension that wasn't there. There was no tension. The whole thing was like super wholesome and great. And then you just get Cheryl like, hashtag justice for Ethel. And you're like, hashtag go fuck yourself.
Yeah. But yeah.
You get a lot of dark.
It's a lot of stuff, yeah. And it ends, of course, with the whole Dalton reveals that he saw Miss Grundy's car. There's a secret. And then we come over to something completely unrelated. The drive-in is closing in episode 4. And Jughead's the only person in the world that seems to care about this.
Okay.
For very obvious for good reasons, mind you. But it's like, for the most of the episode, you're kind of wondering, like, why do you care this much? Is like, you find out why, obviously.
And not just that you care. It's like, it's very, like you said, it's very kind of left field. Episode 4 comes, and even the opening monologue, because like obviously watching it as it was coming out back in 2017 when I was an avid fan, it didn't like occur to me because you get that whole week of waiting for a new episode. But binge watching it as we have been doing, it throws you off a little bit, because even that opening like monologue, you're like listening to him talk, and he's like talking about, how Riverdale was a quiet, quaint, like happy town and blah, blah, blah. And then he goes, and the drive-in is closing, and you're like, okay. And then he just goes on like a monologue about how it's horrible that the drive-in's closing and how they're destroying historic landmarks. I will say, if you took that episode out of like the plot line and the fact that it's very random, him being upset about the drive-in is actually not that uncommon. As it happened here, actually I feel like around the same year or a couple years after that episode release, I want to say. Hold on, I'm gonna look it up. When did it close? We had a drive-in here in Illinois called the Cascade. It's in West Chicago.
Okay.
And it closed permanently in 2019. So literally 2 years after this episode aired, right? My drive-in closed. And there was an uproar of people. They were like, you can't close a drive-in. We'll have to buy the land. We'll have to like do something because we can't close a drive-in. It's like, that's historical like stuff. Like drive-ins were huge. It was so much fun to pack all the kids in the car. And I will say, I was so upset myself that I never got to go to the Cascade Drive-In before they closed down, because I've always wanted to go to the drive-in, and we just never had enough money to pay for like the tickets to take us to the drive-in. And my mom was like, I'm really sorry. And then when we heard that it was closing, I was like, we drive past this like every once in a while, and every single time I'm like, Mom, let's go see a movie there. And I missed it. Missed my chance. But yeah, no, Jughead's freaking out about this drive-in, and for most of the episode, you're kind of sitting there like, okay.
Well, this is completely this might make you happy. Maybe next time you're in around here, would you like to go to the actual Twilight Drive-In?
Holy shit, wait, really?
Dude, no, the Twilight Drive-In is a real drive-in that's in Langley, which is not that far from where me and where we live.
Oh my God, Chris, you're gonna
And
give
it's
me
still
the
and it's
toy
still
later.
and it's still operational, by the way. They're showing this weekend. They're showing the Super Mario Brothers movie and the D&D movie.
Oh my God!
If that helps make you understand that this isn't like old stuff. This is like they're showing two very new movies in this drive-in. They also do retro nights and stuff as well. Where, if you're curious, tonight they're playing E.T. and then the Never-Ending Story, and then tomorrow they're playing Hairspray and Grease. Yeah, it's only $35 per carload.
You can't see my face right now.
Yeah, no, we'll do it. I have a car. We can.
Podcast is over. I'm buying a plane ticket. Hold on.
Here, 1 second, and just so you know that I'm not, because you know what, I really badly want to just like go like psych or something, but here's the actual website.
Oh my God.
I the podcast people can't see this, but here you go. Just so you know, this is real.
I'm gonna cry.
And you might notice that yes, like they didn't change the sign or anything. They just kept it.
They really were like, this is that drive-in.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
All right. I'm just gonna give Misaki a heads up.
Oh my God. Oh my God, they even have like the old. Oh, I'm
Yep.
so sad. This is so cute. Oh my God, Chris, you have
Yeah.
to take me here.
Okay. Well, we can do that. We'll
I'm smiling so hard, my wisdom
can
tooth
we-
is hurting.
oh,
This
well,
is-
I'm glad you're happy. Because I was just thinking, like, because when you were saying like close down, it's like I think there's actually one around here, and then I was surprised, like, oh, cool, it's literally the
It's
same
the
one from the show.
It is that
It's the one.
Oh, it's perfect for us. We have to. We have to
Yeah.
go see it.
And they got all the stuff. They got the concession stuff the same.
I'll
Got
give
the
you.
popcorn and the
I
hot
will.
dogs.
I'll give you my Jughead hat. I will cosplay to this drive-in. I don't give a fuck. I'm so excited. Ah! Oh, this is so awesome. Okay, so distracted now because I'm just thinking
Yeah,
about
what
the
was-
drive-in. Really excited about the drive-in all the time. Ah! Now I'm gonna have to find out what time we're at so I can delete this from the.
You'll have to.
I'm gonna have to do.
Wait.
The first episode did not need that much editing. This episode will. Okay. Yeah. So, Jughead's really angry about the drive-in. He, for the most of the episode, you're very confused as to why he's upset about the drive-in. It is revealed later. I feel like that really is the whole episode. It's kind of like a filler episode, right? Like, they don't really have any giant plot points.
Well, there's a couple of big reveals.
There is, I will say, there is. I realize now because we have the conversation with Kevin and his dad about not going off and hooking up because there's a killer on the loose. And we do get a glimpse of Kevin's dad's murder board.
Yeah, that is true.
The reason that's important is that at the end of the episode, it gets trashed and stolen and taken away by someone who is revealed, I think, in the episode after that. I can't remember. But so we get that little tidbit. We do get Betty and Veronica going batshit about Miss Grundy not
Yeah.
being who she says she is.
Yeah, that's the actual big other plot point that's happening in this.
Right. So they're worried about Miss Grundy being sussy, and they were correct about Miss Grundy being sussy. She had a gun in her car and a
fake ID.
A fake ID or a real ID. We don't know. We don't know which one's the real one. If Miss Grundy is the real name or the other one. I think they actually started calling her by the other one, so maybe the other one was a real ID. So they find this, they kind of convince Archie that he has to, like, you know, cut things off with her. And Archie confronts her. She tells him the story about how she was abused and how she ran away, changed her name. And then he's like, this all makes complete sense. I will continue fucking you now. And like he like, I will say he got over that so quick. Like just so quick. Like I understand, you know, I do kind of like get it, right? She said that, you know, she was abused and she ran away, she changed her name, she got a gun for her own protection, etc. Like, it does make sense. Like, I'm not saying that her story was wrong. What I am saying is that Archie just, like, was just like, I'm mad because you're lying to me. And then she tells him, and then he's like, okay, cool, we're good now. And I'm like, I would still be kind of like, what happens if your boyfriend finds you? Right? Or like something, right? And he's just like, nope, no questions asked, I'm good now. And then Alice Cooper finds the gun and Betty's diary and finds out about Miss Grundy. Which I saw that part and I was like, Betty, why the fuck did you write this? But then I was also thinking about how much I write. And I was like, never mind, I know exactly why you wrote this. Because you can't keep your fucking mouth shut. Because I am just that way too. My diary is full of names. If anybody found my diary, they'd be like, holy shit, I know all of you. So, but yeah, her mom confronts Grundy. Which is actually kind of funny because I'm pretty sure, like, it's extra funny, like, the irony of it all is just that, like, Archie was basically saying goodbye to her anyway. He was basically being like, we need to stop doing this.
No, I think it was like, I'm trying. Actually, I watched this episode like last night. I don't know why it's so.
It was a goodbye, but it probably wasn't in the way that he thought, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, yeah, because like he wasn't like super.
He was saying
it's not like we have to break up. He wanted to focus more on the music, basically.
Yeah, well, I think.
But then they also made out like right afterwards. So.
Right. No, I think he was saying yes. I think he was just saying that, like, he would see her around the school. That it was too dangerous for them to be caught together. That, like, he appreciated her for helping him with his music, but like, he couldn't be alone with her without possibly, you know, doing that, right? And so he gave her the bow to be like, this is a goodbye and thank you for everything that you've taught me musically and everything that you've done for me under the sheets. And that's why they had, like, their little goodbye kiss, because it was supposed to be like, see you around the school goodbye, not a Betty's mom came rushing in and told you to get the fuck out of town.
No, that comes later. No, I think. Oh yeah, I'm trying to remember. The other time they started. I think they started with that, but then what happened was, Betty and Veronica break into. Or was it? Was it Betty and was it Betty and Veronica or Betty and Jughead?
No, it's B&V. Broke into her car.
Yeah, B&V. Broke into her car, found the gun. Found the Jennifer Gibson. Nice little nod, I will say also. Last, like, a blink and you miss it kind of thing where they showed, like, Gwendolyn Grundy, like the actual Gwendolyn Grundy, who was actually, like, very comic accurate. So, like, it was a woman who passed away 7 years ago. Like she was like she looked like she was like maybe in her 70s with her white hair tied back, even wore the same dress from the comics.
Right.
Which I thought was always kind of nice because I was like, this Gwendolyn Grundy is very Mrs. Robertson.
Right.
But anyways, I just thought that was like that was a nice little touch, like where they basically, they admitted that, yeah, we made her young and hot for the plot line, but we know her roots. Anyways, um, there's also the whole thing where we get our first introductions to the Southside Serpents,
Ooh, yes, we
where
do.
we see there's a little brief conversation where and like the whole thing is like frickin' Cheryl's back to being a massive B word,
Yeah.
especially uh to Veronica's mom, which is like the first thing that kind of prompted all of this.
Right.
But she's like, she stands up to herself, being like, you're a fucking kid or whatever. Um, but then it's Cheryl who sees Hermione talking to FP. I mean, we
Yes.
don't know it's FP at this point, obviously, but
Right.
it's Skeet Ulrich
Skeet Ulrich.
in all of
I
his
met him
glory.
too.
Yeah. Um, yeah, they're talking, and then Cheryl takes a picture, shows it to Veronica. They're like, "Oh, I just went to high school with him, just being polite," and then he got a little.
I will say that whole conversation, yeah, is so funny to me because the way Hermione started that conversation with Veronica was, you still gotta be polite, right? She's like you still
Mhm,
gotta be nice. You like, I went to high school with these kids,
mhm,
and just because they're on the wrong side of the tracks doesn't mean you have to be rude to them. And
mhm.
then she's like talking to her, and then she ends the conversation with, "He made a comment, so I put him in his place," and I'm like, "How is that you being polite?"
Well, she was polite, I guess, until the comment, but yeah.
I guess.
But anyways, they do, I think, what is it, American Graffiti or Rebel Without a Cause, and they
It's
go to
Rebel
the.
Without a Cause, specifically because they couldn't decide on what retro fuck
Mhm,
you film to play, and Betty suggested Rebel Without a Cause, and
yeah.
Jughead, being the simp he is, was like, yes, this is perfect.
So yeah. So while the eventual uh cataclysm of the Grundy Archie stuff happens, we get to go to the drive-in. We get to see them. We get to meet more of the serpents. We get to meet oh god, I'm blanking on his name.
Hold on, I've got it.
It's not Fang, because Fang shows up later,
No, no,
and
no, 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 no. It's, oh god, I love it. It's Joaquin.
Joaquin. Yeah, it was like
Joaquin is
Joaquin.
one of my favorite serpents.
Mm-hmm.
I loved him so much. um, yeah, we got to meet Joaquin. Joaquin, who makes out with Kevin.
Kevin, just it. By the way, I would love to see what happened where Kevin went to go grab like he's going through his whole sort of, man, because Kevin's little arc in this whole thing is that he's the only gay guy in town, apparently. After, of course, shutting out the only other person that
I think he wants somebody who is out and proud. I
I
think
get.
was like
Fair
his
enough.
vibe, just because like he was saying like Moosh deserves to just stay in the closet because, he was very much like flirty with Kevin until his friends were around, and it was like Kevin just wants somebody who is like,
Who can be
this is
himself?
my
Yeah.
boyfriend.
Well, that's the thing is like Joaquin's probably still not the person who can do that for a different reason. But
Right.
anyways, the thing I want to know is what the hell happened where it's like where Joaquin basically ambushes him at the snack stand, which I'm also would like to point out is probably the real snack stand of the Twilight Drive-In.
Chris, stop! You're making me so happy.
uh,
I'm not allowed to be this happy of a person.
well, too bad. One of us needs to be. Um, so I would like to know how he goes from like that ambush. He literally says like, "I'm not so tough without your friends around," to what
Fucking
looks
making out.
fucking hardcore making out by the fence, by like a fence.
I call
Which
that sexual tension.
I mean, I guess.
Haven't you
I was also
ever cornered a girl or guy and been like, You're not so tough, are you? And then that person just like, well, now you have to fuck me because I have.
Well, to be fair, because and this is my stupid ass mind working. When they did like the pan up shop where it's like you hear the like the banging of the fence and the grunting and like you see the legs together. I for real like the first time, and I remember like the first time I watched this. I was watching with with like my mom or something, and my mom was like, and she's like, "Oh," it's like I thought she thought that they were having sex,
Oh.
not kissing. She thought that one of them was freaking riding the other one, and they were gonna pan up and show it.
You know what? It's a CW. I wouldn't put it past them.
I mean, maybe not, but still, it's just like her reaction was just like,
Oh my. I love that. That is so funny.
yeah. I mean, obviously it was just that they were kissing up, and then it's like they find out, oh wait, you're the son of the sheriff, and like I'm a Southside Serpent, so that's why I'm like, are you sure he wants a boyfriend that can be open about who he is? Because they certainly can't be open with each other's friends.
I love how he was like, you're the son of the sheriff, and he's like, you mean Sheriff Keller? And he was like, is that a problem? When he shows his arm, he's like, is this a problem? And it's like,
Yeah, it might
maybe,
be.
but right now I'm making out with you, so I don't care. Yeah, we get that. We do get the other thing where they send. I think it was, well, Veronica goes to get more popcorn and she runs into Hermione talking to FP once again.
Yeah, but this time you get to see the deal with the
money.
With the duffel bag of cash. And it turns out that Hiram hired the Southside Surface to devalue the Twilight Drive-In, which
didn't work because it's still running.
If I say it probably didn't work because they're still showing like double
the
features
D&D
every weekend. They're still doing it.
They're showing the D&D movie. Fuck off, Hiram.
Yeah, I was gonna say like that's not like an old movie or anything like that. This is a very
God, I love that so much.
I know.
Vancouver is such a good place for media. It sucks.
Well, I don't know. Bug, when are you planning on coming back down here?
I still love that you say down. When I have money.
When do you get money?
Oh, Chris, sweetie.
I know. I know. Well, hopefully soon.
Yes,
We all miss you.
I miss my friends. I want to go to the drive-in.
Yeah.
Chris got me all excited about it. No, I can't go.
There you go.
Yeah, no. Twilight Drive-In specifics aside, yeah, we hear that Hiram is basically having Hermione do his bidding, but I do believe that we also hear that FP tells her that it's not the full amount. And he threatens
something
her.
like that. Yeah, there's a little bit of threatening. He's not this is back when the Southside Surface acted like actual gang member, like an actual biker gang would probably act.
Right, like they were mean. This is back when they weren't pussies.
Yeah, I mean, even like there's like that shop where it was all the Southside Surface. It looked like it was actually like pretty much a bunch of adults with like a couple of like maybe troubled teens that were in. Like Joaquin, but there's people with like that were very much like in their 30s and 40s.
Most of them were big old men.
Big old, yeah, that's probably a biker.
That's a biker guy. I will say though, it's kind of funny because even in that shot where you get to see them, being ruckus worthy, right? They still aren't like aggressive. Like they were annoying, right?
Yeah.
Veronica stands up and yells at them.
Yeah, and everyone kind of cheers her on a little bit.
Everyone's like, "Woo, go Veronica!"
Yeah. not like they went over there and like beat the shit out of her.
Right.
They just,
Like, I feel like if she had pissed off like a real biker gang, like people who did not give a fuck, they would not give a fuck, right? They would come over and they'd be like, you want to fucking say that again to my face? And they probably would have like clocked her one. But like, they didn't, you know, they weren't that bad. And like they said, they were paid to just make the drive-in shut down.
yep, and they did their job.
They did their job. They got their money under the table. They did what they set out to do. And I wonder how this affects, because we actually learned in this episode that FP, or well, maybe obviously
We can just call him FP.
yeah. At this point, if you're watching the show and you've never seen it before, I don't think it's introduced that his name's FP. It might have been when Hermione was talking to him, but I can't remember. But we do learn that this Southside Serpent, who we know as FP, is Jughead's dad.
Which is the very last line episode. It's like, because like, you know, FP's asking, so where are you gonna go live now? It's like, I'll survive. I always do, Dad.
Right.
And then just walks past him as all the bikers kind of roll in, I guess, to do their last little shenanigans or whatever.
Yeah. And I will say, like, what kind of sucks about that is it kind of puts into like a little perspective about how like early FP acted, because like he showed like he knew, like I know that he knew, you know, the money is important, but like he also knew that Jughead was living at the drive-in, which is what we learned, which is why Jughead was so pissed about, well, not only pissed because he worked there, right? He worked at the drive-in, he lived at the drive-in, he operated the drive-in, that was like his sanctuary, it was his place, and it was where he felt safe. And, you know, having that taken away from him, you know, knowing that him and his family, you know, grew up going to the drive-in, and the fact that he was living there, like, broke him apart, you know, he lost his stability. But like, Effie knew that he snuck his kids in to see movies. He knew all these family memories. He knew that Jughead was living there. Do we think that FP like agreed to this? Do we think that FP agreed to this partially because he thought that it would bring Jughead home?
Maybe. That would be an intro, because I can't see why he would do it. That's the only reason why I could see him agreeing with it. Like, cause like either that or he's like just total whatever, I don't care. Well, but we know he clearly does.
Right. And like that's the thing that like kind of sucks, is that like we do know like FP, you know, he is like, because like, well, that's the thing that kind of that fucks me up, I guess, a little bit, is that FP is he sits there and he's like, you have this idea that maybe he wanted Jughead to come home, because he does, but the way that he talked to Jughead as Jughead was leaving the Twilight Drive-In in that last scene was very much like, so where are you going? Like, it wasn't like, so are you coming back home? It was, what are you going to do with your life now? Right? So it does kind of put like this like weird thought in your head where it's like what is FP doing with his life that Jughead thinks it's so bad that he's living at the drive-in and that he's now going to go live elsewhere. It's a weird thing, and I feel like it's something that like to me is like, in that moment, if you're just watching, you're like, wow, FP really just chose money over his kid, and it hurts. That I feel like that adds to the hurt that Jughead must be feeling. Like, on top of losing the drive-in, he's also just like, here's my fucking douchebag dad who ruined the drive-in just like he ruined my life. We love angst.
You love the angst.
But yeah, that's the end of episode 4, and then we go into episodes 5 and 6.
Okay.
Let's focus on the main points, because we've actually been talking for a while now. So
yeah.
So let's talk about the main points of 5 and 6. I know the only main point I want to talk about 6 is the fact that I am a slut for Bughead. But let's talk about episode 5 first. Main points, main plot. We're away from the drive-in. The drive-in's gone. What do we get? What's going on? I forgot. What was episode
okay,
5?
so chapter 5, Heart of Darkness, is they are preparing for Jason's memorial. It opens up with like at going to the Blossom Manor or whatever it's called.
About how they're all afraid of that house.
And how it's like every town has its haunted house, the one that all the kids stay away from, and for them it was like Blossom Manor or whatever.
Thornhill,
yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
I literally watched this episode like 6 hours ago. Anyways,
Thornhill.
So they talk about it. It's more about kind of doing that, and they invited everyone to the town, but with the idea that like they're like, we're probably inviting the murderer in here, which is funny. But we're not going to talk about that this episode.
I get
it. So yeah, it's like that. It's you get like some more, I guess, kind of Cheryl things, but where like Clifford and Penelope were like, they didn't want Cheryl to talk, but she does so anyways, and does like wears white to the funeral, which
she wore the outfit that she wore when Jason supposedly fell in the water,
and she was like, this is what Jason would want, and it's like,
no.
First of all, it's just insanely disrespectful, just in general, to wear white at a funeral.
I think what I will say in regards to the Cheryl defense,
oh, these are always fun.
I will say the Cheryl's defense. What we kind of miss in our quick recap to Cheryl wearing white, we get a glimpse of how toxic and abusive Cheryl's mom and dad are. Now, I know that Cheryl is dramatic. We know this. We've noticed this since the first episode. We're now on episode 5. We know that she's dramatic. We know that she's wishy-washy. We know that she, does everything to the biggest extremes possible. But what we didn't realize is that behind the curtain, Cheryl's mom is, forcing her into this like role and basically threatening her every chance she gets.
Yeah.
And the same thing, like her dad just gets angry. And that's like also noticed like how, like I said, just toxic her family is, because they have this dinner with Veronica the night before the memorial, and Cheryl's dad just will not shut the fuck up about the fact that Veronica's dad is in prison, and he just keeps badgering about, how they took him out, or how they sent him off, and what he was doing, and he wouldn't let it lie, which is incredibly disrespectful and incredibly horrible to do to a teenage girl, right? These kids are technically in high school, so it's very fucked up. And you just get that kind of like, Cheryl's family thinks that they are allowed to know everybody's business and allowed to have an opinion on everybody's business. So it's like, I kind of get the idea of like sending a fuck you to them, right? She's like, I know my brother better than they do because they think that they know everything and they know nothing of what we're doing. And at the same time, you're like, so when you see Cheryl initially walk in with that white dress with the little red belt, you're like, fuck yeah, you wear the outfit that you wore when you put Jason across the river. You show them all to go fuck off. You're like, yeah, this is what Jason would want. Jason's like, go fuck off, mom and dad, which was, of course he would. Of course he would say fuck off to mom and dad. He was trying to run away. Yeah. But I do believe that, like, obviously, I feel like Cheryl, although she claimed it was for Jason, we all know that she kind of did it for her own selfish gain.
She did it for herself. Also, like, Yeah, I was gonna say it's a little bit more, and then she gets really upset, like, "No, I did it for." It's like,
No, you did it for yourself, Cheryl. It's okay,
yeah, I was
sweetie.
gonna
We
say, look,
accept it.
it's okay, like it's great and all, but just don't be like, well, it's kind of like if you were to like, I don't know, kick someone in the net, and then you get surprised, and then you're surprised that they're mad at you. Because she was like very like she was very upset when her parents were mad about what she did.
Right. Well, like that was the thing too that kind of like threw me off. Is
That's
that
the thing.
like,
That's the thing that irks me. Is like,
yeah,
look, it's one thing if you're doing this to make your statement, but don't be like, at least stand by it. I guess is what I'm saying.
right. And well, like I will say, like Veronica gave her that pep talk that was like, you know what, they're gonna be mad anyway, so you might as
Yeah.
well like be flashy. So like it is irksome that she was like, haha, let me do this thing to say fuck you, and then immediately like, but I didn't do anything wrong. Why are you punishing me?
Mm-hmm.
I will say their punishment was dumb.
Mm-hmm.
As parents who were supposedly grieving, and I say this, okay, they're grieving their son. Even if you're mad at Cheryl for being disrespectful and stupid, one, she's your only fucking kid left.
Mm-hmm.
Two, the punishment that they gave Cheryl is just that they took away the river vixens,
Yeah.
which I don't think they're allowed to like do.
I don't think they can do that.
Like
Say-
they can't like just take away the cheerleading team or anything. Like, I mean, I could understand like, forcing Cheryl to quit, right?
yeah. Well, I think that maybe that's what they meant, but like.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. The way that they sounded made it sound like, yeah, we're telling all those girls that like, nope, sorry, can't be cheerleaders anymore.
Right.
You all have to quit.
Well, like that's another thing too is that like they, even if they force Cheryl to quit the River Vixens or whatever, right? Like that doesn't change much of anything regarding Cheryl's like personality or anything. Like that doesn't. I mean, like, yes, it would like make her upset because the River Vixens were like her whole life, but like we already started to see kind of the topple of the pyramid in a sense because we got to witness Veronica like defy her already. So like Cheryl, although being the head bitch in charge, is not really like holding on that much to that title anyway. So her losing the Vixens kind of doesn't mean that much as a viewer, right? We're like, oh well, okay. Like, all right, well, it was already there, so but yeah, that was like the only punishment that they gave her. I think maybe they grounded her to Thornhill. They're like, you have to come back to Thornhill and stay here. But yeah, it's not that important, I guess. The other things that we learn where Polly is, and this is important because we learn where Polly is, and that's where episode 6 comes in. And we learn that Hal, which is Betty's dad, Mr. Cooper, hates the Blossoms because
they killed their great-grandfather.
Yeah.
Great-grandfather Cooper.
Great-grandfather Blossom killed great-grandfather Cooper over some stupid deal with maple syrup.
Maple syrup. Let's be honest, it was over maple syrup. Let's not sugarcoat it.
Oh my god, I fucking hate you.
Anyways, yeah. So they do that. It's the big reveal though is, and I don't know how the hell they were able to put it together. Maybe because I was watching it in 1.5, but if we want to kind of keep going, kind of through it, they found out that Hal was responsible for stealing all of the sheriff's evidence. I'm not 100% sure how they figured it out.
They didn't. I don't think. We did. I don't think they know that Hal's the one that took it. I think we did.
Okay, well, because they didn't really touch on it at all in episode 6. So.
Yeah, no. The people within the show did not know this. It was during Jughead's final monologue talking about how, once again, there's that one place where you're always afraid to go, but, you know, who knows, maybe there's other secrets hiding around town that, like, people, you know, are too afraid to open up to, or maybe the murderer was there or whatever. And it's in that, like, last monologue where they do a flash at Hal covering up the evidence of Polly existing, basically.
Yeah.
And once again, like I said, we find out where Polly is.
Yeah. Episode 6. Or before we move on to 6, is there anything else you want to talk about in 5?
I don't.
Do you want to talk about the super exciting Archie trying to become a songwriter or a football star? Or do we not care? Because I didn't really care.
It's episode.
5.
Episode 6 is the talent show episode, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a variety show. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, no, we could definitely just talk about episode 6 and go through all of the crap that Archie did as well.
Oh yeah, he has some good old fashioned dumb boy moves in this one.
Oh boy, howdy. Episode 6 is the pinnacle of like shifting when it comes to shifting plot, and it also comes to shifting like character shit, because we have 2 major stories running at the same time in episode 6, in the sense that Archie's is like the not silly because it is kind of serious about
more
how
lighthearted. A little bit more lighthearted. It's not talking about a murder. It's talking about
it's not the plot, but it's definitely like the character development side, right? We get to see Archie, we get to see the Pussycats, we get to see Veronica, we get to
see Valerie.
Feel all of their feelings. Valerie, right? We get to feel the feelings character-wise. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we got Betty and Jughead doing real work.
they figure out where Polly is.
They find out where Polly is. That's a whole thing.
Sisters of Quiet Mercy.
Yes, and then they do that whole thing. I'm gonna start with the lighthearted one.
Okay.
Because I feel like we'll get through it quicker.
Okay, yeah. So it's the variety show. Kevin's like I guess he's like the host of it, so he gets to choose all the
director,
all the acts and stuff. Not really sure why he let the entire football team just sort of sit in there. I don't feel like they had anything to contribute except to heckle people. Seems like a bad idea.
Chris, hold on. You were in musical theater.
Yeah.
Did they ever have, when you did auditions, where like anybody was allowed in the audition aside from the directors or teachers?
Yeah, so I did do musical theater in high school. The only people that were allowed in the theater were the teachers that were running it and the other students who were auditioning.
Oh.
And if any student were to
heckle,
they would just get kicked out, and didn't matter if they freaking aced it or not, they'd just be gone.
Okay, so you had it different than I did. In my musical theater experience, we did all the auditions. The dance would be done. The choreographed dance part of the audition would be done together, like with basically everybody who was trying to audition, either in chunks or all together if we could fit us all onto the stage. So it'd be like that. But all of our individual monologue auditions and song auditions would be done strictly just us on the stage, and the only people in the audience were we had 3. My high school had 3 play directors.
Yeah, same here.
So the 3 directors would be sitting in the audience. The choir director, who would obviously help coach vocals and stuff throughout the play, would be the one manning the piano to help us with our bars. And then we would just be up there alone. And there was nobody allowed in there. They would actually make everyone wait in a line outside the door. So that's like a thing that like every single time I see anything like that, I see it in High School Musical, you see it in all these like TV shows and movies where somebody's auditioning and it's so nerve-wracking, and then there's always like that group of people in the back. I'm like, that's
Who the
not
fuck let these people
allowed,
in?
right? Like
Yeah,
that's
who the
not
hell
a
let
thing.
these people in?
For real.
Yeah, like I said, the whole, I guess the idea with like with ours was because they also did it for non-musicals as well.
Mhm.
I think it was just easier, like just to have everybody kind of be there and then kind of go up. It also kind of, I guess, maybe prepared you more for like, hey, if you're gonna crack under pressure now, we need to see that. Also, anyone who's listening to the, we didn't get actually a piano or anything like that. We just had to sing
Acapella.
a cappella. There were some people that brought like guitars and they
Mm.
sang with the guitars, and then they were asked to sing without the guitar. And then and then you can see why they had the guitar.
Oh, because they did not get their timing or tempo.
Not
Huh?
not a single person who brought a guitar got in any of the musicals.
That's so
that I was
funny
in.
and so sad.
It's a little sad, but I mean, it just feels like you want to hear the voice as raw as it is. Anyways.
I also never made it into any musical in my high school.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's fine. I made it into all the other plays.
Nice.
It's actually really funny. This is a complete side note. I never actually auditioned for a musical. Like
Oh.
you said, our kind of like they basically would audition all of the plays at once for that season. So it'd be like you would pick the script that you wanted to audition for. You would slate, right, as you would. And then you would just audition. If we wanted to audition for any of the plays, whether it be a straight play or the like musical, we'd have to learn the dance and the song anyway. But we we would do the monologues based on like basically what play you wanted to like actually be in. And I almost never auditioned for the play or the musicals because all the musicals that we did during my run of high school fucking sucked. Like we did Beauty and the Beast, and I was like, that's so overdone. We did do Bye Bye Birdie, and I was like,
we also did Bye Bye Birdie.
I was very upset that I didn't get into Bye Bye Birdie, and I was told like the only reason I didn't get into Bye Bye Birdie was because there's kind of like there was like a kind of seniority in my high school where if you were in choir, you had a better chance of making it into the musical. And we had like basically a full choir, and basically all of them auditioned because they also liked musical theater. And I wasn't in choir or theater, the class, because I wanted to expand my horizons my freshman year. And I was like, you know, I've been doing theater every fucking year, and I got the lead in all the musicals in middle school, and I was like, I kind of want to expand my horizons. And so I auditioned for Bye Bye Birdie, and I sang the notes, and the choir director stopped after I finished my audition, and he was like, why have you not joined choir? You've got an amazing voice. You're like perfect for this. And I was like, I just wanted to expand my horizons. I love music, but I've been singing in choir for like 13 years. I don't want to do it anymore. And he's like, oh, I see. And then I didn't make the play, and I was like, I was like, okay. Yeah. But hey, man, I got into the Crucible, and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
yeah,
the hecklers. He just got heckled for no reason, and but
he ran away.
He got anxious, and
as happens,
he choked his audition.
Yeah, I mean, I think he went back and was able to do it again because he
knows Kevin, and I think Betty convinced Kevin to just let him do it, or Veronica did, because Kevin has heard him sing.
No, what happened was Veronica, he asked Veronica to, he asked Valerie.
But Valerie said no.
But Valerie said no because she's part of the Pussycats and she can't sing with them, and he was like, all right, I understand. And so he asked Veronica to help instead because she can also sing, and he felt better doing it as a duet. And then we get like the big old Josie has a bit of a power trip, and Valerie's like, screw this, I'm out. And then and then freaking goes back and says like, hey, you still gotta spot open, and
And
he's
Archie's
talking
like,
to Veronica. And no. He's talking to Veronica. No, wait. No, yeah. So, like, they do it.
Archie basically just tells Valerie yes. And then
And
when
then
Veronica shows up, he's like, oh, I have Valerie again. And then
Yeah,
Veronica's
so
like, the
we're good.
fuck?
It's like, yeah, it's like, wow, go fuck yourself.
Right. Because, yeah, it's just that perfect cliche of just, wow.
Man, you dumb. You can't do that, man. That was, big old dick move. Hermione then goes and goes and
Veronica.
joins Josie and the Pussycats for temporarily.
Yeah.
And then of course we learn a bit more about that Josie's father is a huge dick.
Oh my god, he is the
Like,
fucking worst.
Like there's some bad dads in Riverdale, but I think he still ranks among probably one of the worst.
Honestly, when it comes
In
to
season
parenting,
one.
no, I'll just say when it comes to parenting, I'm not talking about all the weird side shit because we also learned.
Yeah.
Because I think it was also in episode 5. Oh right, this was in episode 5. The Veronica catches Hermione and Fred making out because that's another reason why she was so pissed off at Archie. And like, but aside from like parenting, like all the other weird shit that these people do, aside from all of that, the parenting specifically, Josie's dad is the fucking worst. Because even Hiram, when it comes to being a parent, is still better than Josie's dad. Josie's dad straight up was like, you are nothing in this family unless you become a star. And that's why Josie's been working so fucking hard to be a fucking star. And every single time she fucking tries,
Dad leaves.
Her dad just upped, and he literally upped and left.
Yeah, like she didn't stay for her entire performance. That's why she had like the little turnaround so that no
she could fucking cry. Yeah,
a little bit. Yeah,
and that is like you get like that glimpse of like, oh man, like no wonder why Josie's such a pretentious bitch. And it's like because if she doesn't, her dad will leave.
Yeah, and her mom's honestly not that much of a help.
No. I feel like her mom has been suffering in this like semi-abusive relationship with her dad, and her mom is just like the best way to handle it is to let him have what he wants and to just try your damn best to like give him what he wants
because he's not around a lot.
Yeah. And so like what she knows that Josie's trying so hard for her dad's approval. She knows that her husband's not going to stick around because he doesn't give a fuck about either of them. So her entire thing is like, well, don't forget, branding is everything, and your talent and everything. That's another thing. She mentioned that Valerie left. And he was like, damn, she put a much needed integrity or something to your group, and it was like, excuse you.
Yeah, because he seemed more upset like about that than like anything else. It was like, wow, you got rid of like the one band member I actually liked.
Right. And it was like, what the fuck?
But and then then that happens. Last minute sort of realize like Archie just goes and like just gets over it magically.
He gets over his stage fright.
Stage fright, by the way, as someone who used to have it, that's not how that works, but okay.
That was so unrealistic. I've never had stage fright, but I know for a fact, as a person just who has general anxiety, that's not how that works. Yeah, you can't just be like, I know I have to do this alone, so I'm just gonna do it alone.
It took a lot of public like talking in front of the class for me to get over it. For me personally, at least, and then I no longer had it. But yeah, then that goes out, and then he makes out with Valerie, and it's cute for. It's probably not going to go anywhere though, because like gotta keep to the B&B.
I will say I liked
Valerie.
I liked Archie and Valerie probably the best out of all of the pairings, because I feel like Valerie was like the only character who wasn't like obsessive with him. She was just
which might have been her downfall in the end.
Honestly, maybe. But like,
because I don't think she sticks around for very long. I think.
She's got a few episodes. As somebody who accidentally watched ahead, I know for a fact she does got at least a few episodes.
Oh yeah, no,
in
I
her.
think she's in this season. I think after like season 2, like they drop out a little bit more.
Right. I do. Yeah, I don't remember what season it is that they just decide to like hit the road, but like they're not as active
As Josie.
well, yeah, as Josie, but like the Pussycats in general aren't really as active to the show's like plot anymore after like season, like you said, season 2 maybe.
Well, that's also because like I think once because Josie was kind of like, if you look at a sort of promo stuff for season 1, it's like it's Archie, Jughead, Veronica, Betty, and it's also Cheryl and Josie.
Uh-huh.
Are kind of like Josie was supposed to be like a big character, and then I believe it was the actress just decided that she didn't want to be a part of it anymore for one reason or the other. She might have had a good reason for leaving. I can't remember off the top of my head.
She got a spin-off.
Yeah, she wanted to go join the spin-off, that's why. And then
she got the spin-off, and then the spin-off fucking
tanked. It had got 1 season, so either
it tanked, and they tried so hard to like bring it back into Riverdale too, and I think Josie even came back to Riverdale after, but like it just wasn't the same. Yeah, it just wasn't the same. But yeah, so Valerie quits. She joins Archie. She quits Archie. She goes back to the Pussycats. Veronica offers Archie her assistance, and Archie just decides,
nah, I'm good.
Nah, I'm good.
It's also, during this time, it's the and that's basically the Archie plot line for this episode.
That is
we get it. Yeah, we also, like you said, we get to see Fred and Hermione kind of, they're working together now, and he's trying to get like this contract. He has a very sort of like, Hermione's like, you have like you can pay these guys for like 3 more weeks, and then you're out of money. Thankfully, that he gets the contract in the end.
Right.
Because like,
so just quick, I guess TLDR, TLD. Oh, I guess LR. Oh no, it'd be L again. TLDL. Too long, didn't listen. The lowdown of that whole plot, though. Hiram makes Veronica a shareholder, and they need to get that Sodale project over to better hands. And she wants it to go to Fred Andrews, and they're all in. They're all in that's why they're all at the dinner, because they're actually pitching Fred's Fred's company. God, I can't English anymore. Fred's company to be the ones there, and she says, "Oh no, there's another bidder. Or they're already in the works with a deal." And
they needed the signature of like at least one of the people who made the deal, which was Hiram and Hermione. And Hermione in the end decides to.
Well, it's Hiram. Well, no, that's the thing, is that Hiram made Veronica the shareholder. And Hermione had asked Veronica to sign it, and Veronica, who was pissed off that her mommy was making out with some other man, says no. So Hermione forges it.
Right, that's right, yeah.
And Fred gets it, and Veronica's pissed.
Yeah. It's also one of the very few times that like Fred is, I guess you could call it like a little, and like I'm talking like the bare minimum sense of like, oh, that might have been the wrong move, buddy.
Nah.
But like I said,
I ship Fred Andrews and Hermione so hard. I'm like,
oh
fuck
yeah,
that.
no, 100% same here. It's just that up until that point, like because everyone would like say, but you're still married, and like the first time it's like, what? It's like, whoa. But then it turns out, oh no, they're separated. They just haven't gotten officially divorced yet.
Right.
So it's complicated. But he's fine. Like Molly Ringwald fucking is living probably with her freaking
Well, no, because it was a there was a conversation with Archie
Yeah, like
and his dad.
after the fact.
When Archie found out, when Veronica
Yeah.
initially told him.
Mhm.
Well, no, actually, I lied. No, it wasn't after the fact. Fred had come over to
Was that
Archie.
it?
No, because I can't remember what episode it was. Either 5 or
No, it
6.
was this episode. It was this episode.
But Fred came to Archie
Hmm.
before he ever said who it was. He didn't say who it was. He just said
Right.
that he had kind of been thinking that
Met.
he met somebody and that he might or might not, feels.
Yeah,
And
you're
Archie was
right.
like, Mom's got a boyfriend. She's moved on. It's time for you to move on. I'm okay with you moving on. So Fred
Right.
was in the right.
Sorry, never mind. Screw that. Fred is perfect. Luke Perry is perfect.
We love Fred.
We love Luke Perry. R.I.P. man.
Rest in peace.
God.
Yeah, no, Fred was in the right. I'm a.
Yeah, never mind.
I will fight to the death for Fred. But yeah,
Alright,
no.
I will redact my statement. I'm very sorry.
You should be.
I guess I was trying to we talk him so much praise. I was trying to think, well, maybe try and find something. Nope, flawless character. My bad.
Flawless character. He is the best. Yeah, he did mention it to Archie, and Archie said it was cool. He did not know it was Hermione until Veronica told him, right?
Yeah,
and
I guess that talks more about even Fred's character even more. Like, he didn't just show up, oh, by the way, I got a new girlfriend. He confronted his son because he knows that's important.
Right. And I will say, I don't want to say like 100% that Hermione is wrong, right? Because her and Hiram obviously are still married, and as we see, obviously in later episodes, that they're very much still going to be married.
Mm-hmm.
But this is one thing that also I didn't like about later seasons was the fact that so much in season 1 was Hermione trying to separate herself out. She did the final payments to FP. She did the final payments to the mayor.
Mm-hmm.
She did the dealings, but she was like, I'm done. I don't want this to be everything, my life. And she's like, and he does shady business. And she fought so much for Fred because she honestly wasn't even just I honestly don't even think that she was fighting for Fred because she made out with him. That's what Veronica thought. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But she was fighting for Fred because Fred's an established fucking company. And he was real, and he was a real person that she knew, and she knew that he was going to do the fucking work. And so, she wanted Fred to do it because she hears about this other deal, and she knows, she's aware that Hiram's doing the business. She's aware that she's actually the property owner, right? She's like, I didn't hire another business. I'm trying to get Fred to do it. And so she's kind of got this idea where she's like, he's hiring shady people and he needs to be stopped because she's done. And I was under the impression that whole first season that she was done, and that's why I was kind of rooting for her to make out with Fred, because I was like, you know what, you do you, girl, you move on. He's in prison, fuck off. And so I could see where it's kind of wrong because they were both quote unquote married, but also you could tell that Hermione was trying to separate herself, and Fred is full of flawless character. So
it makes me wonder, thinking about if Luke Perry hadn't passed away, if maybe they would have actually capitalized on that a bit more, because obviously when he passed away, you can't do that anymore,
right?
I can't remember exactly what was going on in season 2 and 3 his character wise. I remember some stuff, but I know that by season 4 they had completely nixed the Hermione ever getting away at any point. She basically just full on went back until the actress herself quit the show, and then she just disappeared, I think.
Right. I will say, I think I feel like it was probably even in season 3 they had it very kind of obvious that Hermione was just jumping headfirst back into shady business. So it did kind of like I said, it kind of sucked because they really had this thing going. And yeah, it does make you wonder though, if Fred Andrews had stayed in the picture,
what could the end game could have been?
Yeah, what could have happened? Could he have convinced her to not do that? It is kind of a sad that we'll never know.
We'll never know.
knowing the writers and how badly they fucked up season 4 and beyond, I feel like they probably wouldn't have done a good job anyway.
I'm almost worried that they've been like, oh, Fred was, I don't know, gay the whole time or something.
Probably.
And that, which,
Fred
what
makes
they
out
did
with
with
Kevin
Molly.
too. Let's go.
Well, because they did that. They did that with like Archie's mom, and it just felt like so.
Yeah.
Anyways, getting ahead of ourselves. I'm sure somebody out there could probably tell me like, no, there were signs. It's like, okay, but anyways,
we get to talk about my favorite part, which is the other half of episode 6.
Yeah. Which is
Bughead and only Bughead.
okay. Yep. They kissed.
They kissed, y'all. Okay, hold on. First of all, we've got the murder board. We've got the connecting of the dots. We've got Polly. So we already know that Jughead and Betty are on their fucking detective bullshit, and they are ready. They start doing all the things that they need to do. You know, Betty is she finds out where Polly is, and she has it kind of in her head that what she needs to do is find Polly, or go visit her. They decide to go to this, the Sisters of Quiet Mercy, which is basically like a church for troubled youth. It's a compound building. And I didn't realize, that they brought the farm up in season 1. I didn't even know, like, when I first watched it and she said that there was like that they were going to go to the farm outside of town, I 100% thought it was like an actual farm.
Well, I think we all did, and then someone was like, hey, what if we made that farm a cult?
Right?
Because I'm sorry, but I refuse to believe that they were this prepared.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No.
I'm sure I feel like somebody just like, yeah, maybe we can do like somebody like just like, oh, we mentioned a farm, let's maybe do something like that.
Right.
It'd be different if they talked about like they gave it like a name, like a proper name that wasn't so vague, because the farm also could have literally just been a fucking farm.
Could have been the farm. She did, I will say, what adds to maybe them being smart enough to plan the cult out more than just that season, was that when she mentioned the farm the first time, I think she said, like, they were going to go to a farm. When she mentioned the farm the second time, she said that it was a group of people that were going to, like, that were at the farm. And that they were going to raise their baby there, whatever. Oh, yeah, spoiler alert, guys. Polly's pregnant.
Oh, very obvious.
Actually, I thought it was very funny because I was watching the episode, obviously. I actually rewatched it today. I watched it all, episode 6 today while I was at work. And the thing that does, like, makes me laugh a lot about it, actually, is that in this scene, the lady brings Betty out to the yard where Polly is picking flowers. And, you know, she goes over and she's like, Polly. And Polly's like, Betty! And she turns around and she gives Betty this great big hug. You could tell that she's pregnant in that shot. Like the first thing that she does when she turns around, you can see the bump.
You can see, yeah.
But Betty did not know until after she let go of the hug. And I'm like, ma'am, how did you not feel it?
I don't know. Maybe Polly was just fat. I know that's really mean, but no.
I mean, like, you could be, but also, like, I think, like, the way that they had, like, the belly suit, like, very obvious.
Yeah.
But on top of that, I actually she found out that she was pregnant around the time of their breakup, which was shortly before July, right?
Yeah.
What day? What time?
What time? How long has it been? Yeah. I was gonna.
I feel like it's got like a little, at least few months.
Let's see. So July, August, September. Let's just assume hypothetically at this point when they're airing it, it's
like 3 or 4 months along.
It's probably like maybe let's just say it's like November.
So yeah, it's like So
maybe late October or November. Then they decide not to do a Halloween episode, something like that. So it's been like I think
yeah,
she
3 or
would be
4
showing.
months.
I think she would be showing after
She
3 or 4 months.
she would be showing, but it definitely would not have been as aggressive as it was.
Well, I think that's also could be just like TV.
Right.
We just need to get the point across because
Well,
a little bump would be like
another thing I will say, just as a person like you and I know that she did had twins, right?
Yeah.
How did she not know that before the 4-month mark?
Fair enough. Well, to be fair, I don't know. I've as someone who's never been pregnant personally, I can't attest to how that works.
I've never been pregnant personally. I have dealt with a lot of pregnancies in my family, none twins, but I will say that you do the little, from what I know, my knowledge, right? You do your pee stick. The pee stick test will start becoming positive around the 6-week mark. That's about like a month after you're pregnant or after your period. And so that's when you'll test positive. Usually what ends up happening is that you have to go to the doctor the week or the week after or a couple weeks after you make an appointment. And usually they set up an appointment every month or two to double check the baby's heartbeat, that it's growing properly. And then as you near the last months, they'll do it weekly just to make sure that everything is going still smoothly. That's how much my sister's done it. So
I'll be honest. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I feel like I do understand maybe the Sisters of Quiet Mercy not having the technology.
Yeah, I was just gonna say they probably. I'm gonna just tell you right up. They probably don't do any of that stuff. This is maybe slightly one step higher than an Amish conclave.
Right. But I do feel I don't know. Even still, I feel like she had to have been doing. I mean, I guess you know what, you're right. I guess not. I guess they really were just now you're pregnant, you're fine.
Oh, sorry. Just real quick here. I was curious. Apparently in that scene she was supposedly 7 months pregnant.
No fucking way.
Yes, according to Wikipedia. So take that as you will. But the sort of synopsis of that whole episode, it says that she was unaware of Jason's death, obviously, and that she was 7 months pregnant.
So she only got 2 months left. So at that point, she would be showing. Mm-hmm. But I feel actually then at that point, I feel she'd be a lot bigger with 2 full babies in her belly.
And also, how the heck was here's the thing. I feel at that point, they didn't realize that they were going to do twins. Or they just, somebody didn't know. I don't know.
I guess. There's just there's a lot of little.
You have to remember that
holes.
they weren't probably expecting this to be the mega hit it was
originally.
I think there was rumors that it was only going to be the 1 season possibly.
That would explain a lot why it went downhill so fast. They were why is this still unpopular?
Yeah, well, I mean, they did the hook obviously at the very last episode, but it was they told the whole story. And then they left it open for a second season. But I feel they weren't expecting the big positive response that they got. Anyways.
7 months pregnant, though.
Yeah, 7 months. That
gives her 2 months left, which means that's another great thing. We got to start counting now. Okay, I want to look at these months. Because I feel Polly was pregnant for a lot longer after we met her. Than 2 fucking months.
Yeah,
there ain't no fucking way.
That nobody's noticing that because I don't know how long Polly was gone for.
Well, that's the thing is that they took her away.
Yeah, July. In July.
Well, yeah, in July.
Yeah, let's just say in July because their plan was to
run away.
Was the runaway?
Was
That's
a runaway
that
on
ended
July
this episode,
4th.
yeah.
So they knew at least on July 4th that they were going to run away. So at some point in July, her parents threw her into the Sisters of Quiet Mercy.
And the whole time, Betty just did not realize that Polly was pregnant. I guess I don't know, because assuming even if like she got thrown away like sometime in June, and it's July, August, September, October, well, that's kind of makes a little more sense actually when you count it out. But still, it's like there was a couple months there where I guess maybe baggier sweaters or something. I don't know.
Don't even.
Anyways, back like after the Bughead kiss, they discovered that car full of drugs and Jason's belongings, and then there's that unknown somebody that was watching them in the forest, and they try to get Sheriff Keller in, and
how dare you gloss over that kiss?
We already talked about it.
No. Shut up. I have another thing to say.
Okay, go for it.
I became a Bughead fan in 2017 over this kiss.
Fair enough.
And today, while rewatching this episode, I saw Jughead crawl in through the window and I said, "It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. I'm ready." And as it happened again, I screeched in real time again, just like I did in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
I love Bughead, man. They're so fucking cute. I love them so much. Jughead and Betty getting close is probably like the most normal relationship that blossomed in the first season of Riverdale. Yeah. I take it back. Them and then the Archie-Valerie relationship that kind of blossomed over music, the only like normal relationships in Riverdale. Because like Jughead was like there for Betty, and that shit was like, I was waiting for it. I was like, when are they gonna kiss? I do this thing whenever people kiss that like people that I want to kiss do. I make a high-pitched squealy noise. It doesn't matter. It does not matter if the kiss is cringy. Yeah. If the kiss is cringy, or if it was stupid, or if it was cliche, it does not matter. If it happens, I will screech. Mm-hmm. So like I screeched the same way that I did in 2017 over this kiss that I did today. I was like, but yeah, anyway, that kiss reminded Betty that there was a car. Yeah. And it prompted one of my favorite Jughead quotes was, "That's what you were thinking about during our moment?"
There's a car. I was like, all right, fine, I guess. Yeah, well, whatever.
Because that kiss really wasn't that great. Okay, fine.
Yeah. And then all the evidence gets destroyed, and then the cliffhanger is that Polly has escaped from the sisters.
Polly escaped from the sisters, and there was blood on the window, and nobody talked about it.
And yep, we move on. But that's where we leave off.
That's where episode 6 ends, and that's where this episode of our podcast ends.
Yeah, and then so we got 7 episodes. We're gonna finish the last half of this season.
Mm-hmm.
So episodes 7 through 13.
Mm-hmm. That'll
be fun.
What were your, before we leave, because this has been a longer episode that I'm gonna have to cut now. Before we leave, what were your thoughts as a whole on these episodes that we watched, 2 through 6, these 5 episodes that we watched? What were your main thoughts in regards to characters, writing? Like, what were they? What grabbed you? What didn't?
Well, it's kind of like with like the whole kind of season in general, where it's still very much kind of like it's simple. Like it's still a lot of like kind of like you know, silly but not like, serious but not too serious, sort of like high school problems. They deal with a couple of like real issues, and they handle it, I believe, relatively well. Some of the characters are a little almost cartoonishly evil. Like, and though there are like jerks that exist like this in the real world, so maybe that's a bad analogy, but some of the dialogue choices are a little a little bit of a few groaners, a couple of eye rolls. Again, I always feel so bad because I feel like I rag on Madeline Pesh so much. Like,
it's not Madeline Pesh, it's Cheryl.
It's Cheryl. I know. It's just I feel bad because it's like, well, ooh, the character just even in this, she was still very grating, and even by like episode 6, it's just kind of like she never changes. She's like, her emotions are, and yeah, I know she's grieving and stuff, but a lot of the stuff she does is just very much like, like you said, like being super dramatic,
yeah,
and then getting kind of like baffled when there's consequences, and then make Finn that feels like she was doing the right thing, and that's just something that throughout the series is kind of just one of the few consistent things about her character.
Yeah,
is that she's always kind of like baffled when bad things happen to her, especially when it's usually her own fault.
Oh yeah, I will say, season, well, probably Riverdale as a whole, but I'll obviously have to watch more to confirm my theory. Mm-hmm. But definitely, season 1 has granted me some of my favorite Riverdale quotes. Some of my favorite like dialogue quotes ever written, probably. Like my personal favorite, which I think was in episode 2, when Reggie accuses Jughead of killing Jason. Mm-hmm. He makes a comment about how he probably did something to the body, and Jughead's comeback was one of my favorite quote ever is necrophilia, Reggie, can you spell it? Some of the greatest one-liners have come out of those shows, though, and I appreciate those so much because they make the show a lot better. Hashtag Justice for Ethel, not one of them.
No, that one's a big.
Hashtag Justice for Ethel will forever be ingrained as the worst one-liner written in River. That's a lie. Worst one-liner of season 1 or in episode 3.
Yeah.
But necrophilia, Reggie, can you spell it? Will definitely be number 1 in my heart for like a really long time.
Yeah, no. They had good storylines. Even we rag on them a bunch, but like it's a drama, so they'll be the characters and the plot lines will be dramatic. It's just that Cheryl's character is like every single scene she's in has to be cranked up to the max. But other than that, she does a very good job at portraying that. Or she does a very good job at doing it. It's just after like the 15th time, it gets grating.
Right.
And other positive thing, Fred Andrews' flawless character.
Fred Andrews is 10 out of 10 best dad in the entire
best
show.
Dad in the entire goddamn universe. Fucking does everything. One little thing. Love like the scene where he like Val and Archie are in his room, and he just like comes in, like I guess he was like gonna go, like I can't even remember what he was gonna say, but it was like hey, you want to come down for like dinner or something? It's like, oh, and it was like, oh hey, how's it going? It's like love the Pussycats, by the way, top notch, whatever. I'm gonna leave now. I'm gonna close the door. Well, not actually close the door, not all the way. And then as he's walking down the stairs, he does like that back lead to make sure that they're not doing. It's like don't do anything. It's like have fun, kids, but not too much fun.
He is the best.
Yeah.
He was the best.
And we even glossed over as well. He converted their garage to be soundproof so that Archie could practice music
while he was grounded.
Archie was grounded.
He was grounded,
and he freaking disobeyed like every single one of his rules. You could say but eventually Fred realized on his own that this was clearly very important to him. So,
yeah. And he also he had that conversation with Grundy too.
Oh yeah, the little hey.
And Grundy, tells him, he is incredibly talented and it's a raw talent. And he was like, well, shit, I guess I can't let this lie.
Well, yeah, he was like, well, something's gonna happen? And then she was like, well, it'd be ashamed if he didn't at least try.
Right.
And I was like, all right, so we'll try. And then, Archie, I think, found a good balance between football and, because that was, his one plot in 4 or 5, I can't remember, where he gives up the being captain of the football team.
Yeah, he gives it to Reggie because football is Reggie's whole life and music takes up half of Archie's.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was the thing. We brought up the jersey. Archie gave the jersey to Cheryl's family because it was not his to take. So, one point for Archie.
Yeah. And then Penelope had a sort of, you look just like
my
Jason.
son.
And then proceeds to caress him. And it's really weird.
Yeah.
I mean, she's also obviously very grieving, but
I will say, I've definitely seen moms do that.
I know that.
At the same time, it was. I feel like we said, it's a drama, so everything's a little bit more dramatic. It was a little bit creepy, right?
It was a little creepy. Also, I guess we can kind of see where Cheryl got it from. Again, pretty sure that I'm pretty sure Cheryl and Jason were in love, or at least Cheryl was in love with him. I don't know. I
definitely feel like, given how Jason and Polly were, even if Polly is actually crazy, I feel like it's definitely was probably a one-sided. He saw her as a sister thing, and she saw him as the love of her life. Mm-hmm. She was like, we're twins, and that makes us soulmates, and he was like, we're twins. Period.
And maybe not even. I'm apparently a year older than you. I don't know how the fuck this works.
Right. I'm still on this plot hole. I'm still on it. Until they confirm that Cheryl was held back a year or something, I am on this plot hole. Dead center this bullshit.
Well, it's one of many, but we'll have to discuss those possibly next time.
Yeah, next episode we'll be going through the rest of season 1. So stay tuned for a long ass conversation about that.
Yeah. All right. Bye.
Goodbye, podcast. And
thank you for listening to the You Don't Have To podcast. We are updating every other Thursday and uploading extended cuts on the Destiny Wins Productions YouTube on off Thursdays. If you enjoyed this episode, please tell your friends and family, as word of mouth is the best way to get our podcast off the ground. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.